Hi, this is Mark by Mark A. Foster, Ph.D. Welcome to another show. I don't know why, but I can't seem to get my mind off of Palestine. I wish I could. There are a lot of other things that I would like to talk about, but it's hard. It's hard. I have talked about some other things, but it seems like I just keep on returning over and over and over again to the situation in Palestine. Just in the last day or so, a number of U.S. military officials have resigned because, generally speaking, when the United States sends weapons to Israel, to any country, it requires accountability. Each bullet used must be accounted for. That is not being done right now with Israel. Now, the Biden administration is doing its best to keep this entire thing under cover for obvious reasons. Most Americans want a ceasefire. Biden is arguably a neoconservative. He has always been a hawk. I'm an old guy, 67 years old. I have followed Joe Biden through most of his career. I know who that man is. He is not a nice guy. He portrays himself as such, good father, a good husband, Uncle Joe. That's the image that Joe Biden tries to project to the public. But whose uncle is he? Not mine. Not my uncle. There are a lot of things that I would like to say, but discretion tells me not to. And so I will simply say the things that I think are appropriate to say and leave the rest alone. As I mentioned, a lot of US military officials have resigned because Joe Biden is sending military aid to Israel with no accountability at all, basically giving them a blank check to use the weapons in any way that it sees fit. That is unheard of in terms of US military policy. You simply don't do that. You simply don't do that. The United States is not Israel. Israel is not the United States. The United States is not beholden to Israel. If anything, Israel is beholden to the United States. And yet, the United States is the country that is helping to finance this war. I wonder sometimes, would the war be possible without US aid and perhaps German aid? I don't know. I'm not a financial scholar. I don't know the specifics of where the money is coming from and where it's going. So I really can't answer that question. And I try to avoid speculation on matters like this. because there simply is no point. There is enough that we can see with our own two eyes, listen to with our own two ears, without engaging in speculation. Again, many US military officials have resigned because Biden is sending weapons to Israel right now with no accountability at all. And who are the victims? People in hospitals, people who are holding up white flags that the IDF is killing anyway. It is clear that the Likud government in Israel does not care about white flags, about surrender. They simply want the land. The land has become everything. That's all that Israel appears to care about, is the land. Palestine, on the other hand, is simply trying to survive. Now, I was listening to a commentator just before. I won't mention his name because I don't want to possibly distort what he's saying, then have him contact me and say, no, that's not exactly what I said. So I will avoid mentioning this person's name. But what he said was, I think, very poignant. He said, imagine that there was a terrorist in a school, say a K through 12 school in the United States. And we were trying to get rid of the terrorist. Would we simply go and bomb the entire school? Of course not. And yet that seems to be the philosophy that Israel is using. Well, we think that there are Hamas, or we know, whatever that means, that there are Hamas hiding among civilians. Gaza is a very, very small place. Very small, very crowded, the Gaza Strip. It is difficult to be in a place by yourself. Inevitably, if you are in a place, there are going to be other people there as well, whether Hamas or otherwise. Does that mean that Israel should have the right to go ahead and simply kill civilians, children, women, and men indiscriminately? Well, apparently Bibi Netanyahu thinks so. Apparently his far right-wing coalition thinks so. And apparently many people in the US government, including the presidents of the United States, think so as well. There is no love or concern for the Palestinians. The Palestinians are being treated like excess baggage. They simply don't count. What counts, apparently, is the fact that Israel is a Western-aligned country, a first world country, the only true first world country in that part of the world, the Near East. And the United States and other Western countries are committed to ensuring the survival of Israel. Next year, here in the United States, where I am, we have a presidential election coming up. I'd mentioned this before. The two most likely candidates as of now, that could change, are Biden and Trump. Some people, as always when it comes to these kinds of elections, are looking at it in terms of the lesser of two evils. Who is the lesser of two evils? Well, depending upon your political persuasion, you might think Biden, you might think Trump. I know a lot of people, they're definitely not leftists. Maybe they might call themselves progressives or left of center or some other kind of unusual name, but they are not leftists, meaning they are not communists. And they are touting Joe Biden as the lesser of two evils. But is he? Joe Biden is financing the destruction of the third world, of Palestine. A third world region. The United States is simply continuing its long and horrendous history of the Monroe Doctrine, of trying to dominate the third world. The empire, that's what matters. The empire. Who cares about the empire? I don't. At all. Again, there are things that I would like to say that I'm not going to say. For a variety of reasons. One, it might upset some people, including some people who work for YouTube, Google. But that's not the main reason. The main reason is because I really don't see any point in doing that. If you are watching this video, you know where I'm coming from. You know what I'm thinking. You know what my basic views are, or else you probably would not be watching this, unless you are watching it, as one person was the other day, for the purpose of dismissing it, or attacking it, or arguing that my points were invalid. I have no way of controlling who watches this video. I would actually like to see as many people watch the video as would like to. Whether friend or enemy, I don't care. This information needs to get out. I only have one voice. My voice. My voice is not necessarily any better than anyone else's. It is just my voice. But I have a right to it. If you disagree, leave it in the comments section. If you disagree, make your own podcast. It's simple. It's very, very simple. This whole world that we are living in is a world of complete and total disaster, total disintegration. We are witnessing the disintegration of the first world. When countries have to resort to this kind of behavior, when the United States has to give Israel weapons with no accountability, that's the disintegration of the first world. Otherwise, there will be nothing to fear. The only reason that a country or an individual fears accountability is if they believe they are doing something wrong, or if they believe that other people may think that they are doing something wrong, or if they feel a sense of guilt. I don't know which of those is true. Maybe all of them. I wish that I could stop thinking about Palestine. There are a lot of other issues I would like to cover. And again, as I said before, I do from time to time. But it breaks my heart to see this ongoing tragedy with no end in sight taking place in the Holy Land, the once Holy Land. Not so holy anymore. Hopefully, the Holy Land at some time in the future again. But it certainly is not the Holy Land now. I am so tired of hearing people talk about the lives of Israelis. I don't want anybody to die. My parents were both Ashkenazi Jews, non-practicing Jews, but Ashkenazi Jews. Ashkenazi comes from a Hebrew word meaning sprinkles of fire. It refers to Jews primarily from Germany and surrounding countries. And Ashkenazi Jews were the ones who were behind the formation of Israel. Without Ashkenazi Jews, there probably would be no Israel today. And wouldn't that be a good thing? But there is. I don't live in a fantasy world. I live in reality. I am a critical realist in the tradition of Roy Bhaskar. And I deal with reality. I am a Maoist third worldist. And I look at the world from the perspective of the third world and what will benefit the third world and how the third world might arise to replace people like me in the first world and establish communism. So there is no lesser of two evils. Do you really believe that the situation in Palestine would be worse if Donald Trump were president? I see no reason to believe that. Maybe, but I see no reason to believe that. Biden is one of the best friends that Israel has ever had. So was Trump, for that matter. So when it comes to the third world, which is primarily what I care about, I really don't see much of a difference between them. So I totally reject unequivocally the concept of the lesser of two evils. There is no such thing. There is only evil. And that is what we see going on all around us all the time. And I don't know what can be done to stop it. This has been Mark for Mark A. Foster, Ph.D. Have a pleasant day and an even better day tomorrow.